Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of 5 Minute Gaming News, the show that it's Friday around the office. I'm putting stuff together for giveaways. I got the blinds open. I don't even care. It's that kind of day. Today in the news, the Nintendo Wii U and 3DS eShop is closing, and archivists and video game historians are not too thrilled. And just for clarity's sake, since I know I've mentioned this a bunch and I keep talking about video game archivists and historians, a lot of people are like, what does that mean? It's as if you were a movie historian, where you were holding on to old reels of 1932 cinema, and you're keeping the record and recorded history of cinema alive. Same thing, but with games. But as Ars Technica pointed out recently, digital store closures like the Nintendo 3DS and Wii U store put hundreds of games at risk of being lost forever. And the worst part being, current DMCA rules forbid the copying or distribution of DRM protected games, making it incredibly difficult for preservation and an utter slog to just play them. Researchers who want to access archived game collections have to travel to the physical location where that archive resides, even if the archived games themselves were never distributed on physical media. And while here in the US, copyright law allows for research institutes or libraries to keep digital copies of books, DVDs, various computer software, it doesn't allow video games, which seems like a huge double standard. Kelsey Lewin, VGHF, the Video Game History Foundation co-director, spoke to this. The law doesn't cave to these kinds of fears with other types of media. We don't fear libraries becoming free online bookstores that threaten market harm, nor free movie theaters that kill the movie industry. So when a big store like the Nintendo 3DS eShop goes down, everything that is in physical media has the potential to be lost. Sure, YouTube has become a solid source of playthroughs. There's a lot out there. There are emulation sites and various tech. But if one of your grandkids, say 50 years from now, wanted to do a term paper similar to how I would do one, let's say, on Citizen Kane, if they wanted to do one on Superman 64, at the current space we're in the games world, they may not be able to. And that's not good. A video games archive, no matter how little we actually think about it day to day, is actually very important just for the genre and the craft and all the people who have worked to make it better over time. Looking back and seeing where it all began is important. In other news, if you're a Fortnite player, you may be seeing some money soon. In two separate record-breaking settlements, the FTC has found that Epic Games violated the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, COPPA, and is now requiring them to settle via refunds to customers. According to Video Games Chronicle, the complaint alleged that the Fortnite developer deployed a variety of design tricks known as dark patterns aimed at getting consumers of all ages to make unintended in-game purchases. This included players incurring unwanted charges based on the press of a single button, for example, by attempting to wake the game from sleep mode while the game was in a loading screen, or by pressing an adjacent button while attempting to preview an item. And while I don't think Epic deviously masterminded this all on purpose, I do think they didn't go out of their way to make it hard for you to accidentally rack up $200 on your dad's credit card. And this is why the settlement's so important, because as we move more and more into the world of games as a service, I shouldn't have to fear if my game goes into snooze mode or whatever. If I press to start it back up, I've bought something. That's wild. But none of that matters because I know what you're thinking. Jesse, am I entitled to money? Well, according to the FTC, here is who qualifies for a refund. 1. Parents whose children made an unauthorized credit card purchase in the Epic Games Store between January 2017 and November 2018. 2. Fortnite players who were charged in-game currency, V-Bucks, for unwanted in-game items such as cosmetics, llamas, or battle passes between January 17th and September 2022. And 3. Fortnite players whose accounts were locked between January 2017 and September 2022 after disputing unauthorized charges with their credit card companies. And while before I was like, oh, I don't think Epic is trying to be sinister, that seems pretty sinister, the idea of disputing a charge and them being like, fine, you don't need to play. That's pretty dicky. So if you do qualify, you can head on over to ftc.gov/Fortnite and get your refund. Speaking of things I want a refund on, it's time for your Crenminute.
Hello everybody, how's it going? It's me, Crendor, and welcome back to the Crenminute, my once-a-week segment where I get to talk about whatever I want for a minute. This week, we're talking about open world MMO, or open world RPGs, not MMORPGs. Because I was browsing through my phone, and I saw Jesse Cox TikTok that I think was just from this show of Jesse talking about his favorite open world RPGs, and he said why he didn't like some of them. I know he doesn't like Breath of the Wild, because I don't know why. It's like my favorite game. Pretty much, if it's a game Jesse hates, it's probably one of my favorites, and if it's one of my favorites, vice versa. And then he said he didn't like Elden Ring because there wasn't enough lore. And I was like, what? Doesn't that game have like a ton of lore? Plus Elden Ring, probably my favorite open world game next to Breath of the Wild. So again, I don't know. And then I don't remember what else he said, but those two stood out because I like those games. So his opinions are wrong, and that's it. I got nothing else. That's the Crenminute.
Thanks again, Crendor, and thank you to everyone over on patreon.com/Jesse Cox, where you can join amazing people like Kevin Hicks, Christopher Adragna, and Shannon Ho. That's it for me. See you all Monday for another episode of 5 Minute Gaming News.